Vigdis Hjertvik Kemmit and her husband Bud live in Cape Cod, and they winter here in Florida. In 2011, Vigdis painted 28 pictures for her first children's picture book entitled At the Beach. But she is known for her painted furniture and household items. It all began when she spotted a nightstand with dainty roses painted on it. And this Norwegian-born woman was about to become an artist. Now, her work can be found in the shops along Cape Cod and in the Black Whale Gallery in Hyannisport. So, Vigdis, looking back on all the things you've painted, what would you say is the most unusual?
The most unusual probably was a mailbox with a griffin on it.
A griffin?
Yes, because this person was very interested in martial arts and anything to do with Japanese, Chinese, Oriental, anything like that seemed to please her.
You know, I would have guessed you would have said the bathroom countertop.
That actually came out pretty nice, but it's not that difficult to do, so it was not really a challenge.
Oh, I see. Looking at it from my viewpoint, oh yeah, that would have been a challenge. I know Bud makes birdhouses because I've purchased a couple, and I have them hanging in the back among the trees in my, on the outside of the lanai. The fellas came by and they were trimming with power saws the other day, and I'm watching them and I'm hearing them and I'm thinking, don't you hurt my birdhouses.
Well, that's nice to hear that you're concerned about it and you like it so well. We have so many different ones. The latest one that my husband did the other day was an old-fashioned camper with the tin roof. And it's got wheels on it, it's got windows and doors, and it has flowers cascading down from the window boxes. It's so cute that I don't think I can sell it. It's now on display in my living room.
So is this going to be a sample of something people can order, or is this just a personal treasure?
No, you can order anything you want and anything you see, and we'll try to duplicate it. But this one here was a first, so that's why we like to look at it.
Between his building and your painting, oh my gosh, it's amazing. I love the one with the little stone chimney. Do you remember that one?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. We have several, and they made like log cabin houses, and he's got all the rocks on them, on the chimneys and on the walkways. We have lighthouse that's made the same way with all the rocks at the bottom, so it looks like it's sitting on a cliff.
What is your effort in the little houses, the bird houses?
Actually, mine is to make them pretty. I love flowers, I love pastel colors, so if I add that into with little lace curtains on the windows that I usually paint on these houses, and all the cascading flower boxes, that's my favorite.
Would you think that these have a Cape Cod influence, or is it more Norwegian?
Well, the log cabin ones are definitely Norwegian. My brother had a log cabin home. We have made replicas of that one, and that's my favorite in the whole world. And the house is still there, and when we do go to Norway, we do drive by and take a look at it.
I've never been to Norway. It just sounds so exciting. And of course, it's very, not close, but similar latitude as Scotland.
Yes, actually, Scotland is straight across on your left from Norway, and that only represents the lower part of Norway, because Norway goes very, very far north, almost up to the North Pole. I mean, it's close.
Oh my gosh.
So we have all kinds of weather over there, and Scotland being rainy and what have you, we also have that on the west coast of Norway.
Yeah.
However, most places are too cold for comfort.
For average people?
Yes.
Is there anything that you haven't tried that you'd like to paint?
I have not tried a portrait, and I'm not sure if I'm really that interested either. I have to start small, and maybe then I'll get to love that too. I don't know.
Yeah. I've seen people look at the book at the beach. It was interesting because one woman, she's just, salivating as she's going from page to page in this book. And she turns to her husband at one point and she said, I would love to have a picture like this hanging on my wall.
Ah, that can be done.
I should have gotten her name, shouldn't I?
Yeah, that can be done, sure. As long as if you still have the copies of the paintings, or I could do it from the book, actually. And I can make a painting of that at any size that they might want.
I know that you're very selective how you sell these things, and I know most of them are sold on Cape Cod, and a few things are sold to kind of personally here in Florida. Have you ever thought about going to one of the craft shows?
Not really, because I feel they are just too commercial. I'm not too fond of that. There are too many booths with people with their artwork, and I'm not really into that.
Not comfortable with that.
No.
Okay. Well, you're doing pretty well without. It was just a thought. I know the Venice Community Center art show's coming up. And of course, those of us who are writers will be there with our books.
I have not even thought about anything like that.
Yeah.
I'm just having fun. I'm not that interested if I sell or don't sell or give away as gifts. It's fine by me. I'm not out to make a lot of money or really to become all of that well known either.
That's funny because I know people who are clawing their way through marketing, trying to get their merchandise sold. And then every now and then I run into someone who says, well, you know what, I'm selling well enough, so I'm not worried about it.
Right.
I know you spend a lot of hours painting, but what else do you do to relax?
Oh my goodness. There is no end. I have to knit. That's one thing.
You have to knit.
I have to knit. That is... I think I'm born with those knitting needles. I do sweaters, big, small, from infants to old people. And I do Norwegian designs that are very, very popular. My niece, who has this wonderful gallery shop in Hyannis on the Cape, the sweaters that go flying out of there.
Oh my God.
Absolutely. I can't keep up with it.
Sweaters, of course, you don't see a lot of them here in Florida. But on the Cape, oh my gosh, yeah, because it gets brisk.
Yes, they need them up there.
Yeah.
However, down here, you need some warmer clothes for children.
So a lighter weight?
A lighter weight, or for baby in very thin yarn or whatever, and lacy. That's very popular. And shawls. You need to have a shawl when you go in a restaurant here or when you go food shopping. You need something over your shoulders. It's
because of the air
cold.
conditioning.
Right.
When you make these sweaters and things, by any chance do you paint the buttons?
I have done that on occasion. And not so much on the sweaters, but I have made pocketbooks that have a closure with a big button, big wood button that my husband would make, and I paint on those, especially since I belong to the Red Hats. And we have all kinds of fun thing with the pocketbooks and the hats. So painting is being done on buttons, on ribbons, on clothing, you name it. We paint on it.
I think we should get you a website so that you can put some of these things out there for the world to see because, you know, it's hard with radio to describe these things, but they are so fantastic.
Well, if you want a job, please.
You've come to the right person.
Okay, that's wonderful.
All right. It's been a while since you went back to Norway. So how do you stay in touch with family and friends?
Oh, well, all the modern things with computers. We have Skype, where I talk to my brother weekly, and I get to see him and see what kind of shape he's in after all these years. And also, I have my cousins and my nieces over there. I frequently talk to them on Skype. And it's fun. Keeps the language going, too.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. I just miss Scotland so much that I ache for it. I was on the computer one day, and I went to MapQuest. MapQuest now has a way to literally see the area. And so I'm thinking, gosh, where did I stay when I was in Ballachulick? And so I found the road, and I literally went along that road visually until I found it. And it was so much fun. It was like a trip.
I do that. In Norway, I go to where I used to live. And I go up and down the street and I see, you can even see curtains in the windows and the cars parked in front. And then I go out to our summer place and then I go to where my brother owned stores. And it's like I've just been there.
I love it. I don't know how long I spent doing that. And it was quite a little trick. And of course, you push the button and it jumps you, I don't know how many yards ahead. But that was quite an experience. I really enjoyed that. And I had never thought to do that before.
It is wonderful. Like I said, I do it quite often. The other day, I even looked at where my school was.
Oh my gosh.
A grade school. Well, it's not a grade school anymore. Now it's something totally different. It's a rehab center or something. But it is so much fun to see.
My history is kind of depressing. My kindergarten is no longer there. My grade school is no longer there. My high school is no longer there. The houses we lived in are no longer there. It's almost like where Nancy goes, nothing grows. Either that or I'm not going to go into age. But things do change in time, don't they?
Yes, they do. And that's also one of the reasons I have not gone back to Norway in a while. In a few years, like 10 years. Because what I saw was not at all what I would like to keep in my memory for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Because now you have an influx of different people from different countries and that are dressed differently and hair color and skin color, everything is different and it's not like I remember it.
I miss the ethnicity too. I love Scotland, but I love the kilt. I love the outfits they wore, the houses. And when I make a trip there, I don't go to one that's newly remodeled and updated and looks like everything in the United States. I want something that's out, very, what's the word I want? Secluded. It doesn't have to be a castle, although one trip I stayed just in castles. But I just like the rustic, old feeling,
The same here. That's why the things I like to look at is what I remember growing up.
Yeah.
And I want to keep those memories. So let's look at pictures and, we can memorize that.
Our next guest is Joseph Spinella, and he has a book that is exactly that. He was born in Sicily, Verona, Sicily, and his book it's just snippets of memories from that time, but they're so... dated is not the word. They are so specific in that time period. It's a terrific book. Americans are going to read this. American children are going to read this. And it's going to feel like a whole different world because they didn't have electricity. Mm-hmm. And it occurred to me not too long ago that I could kind of write a book like that myself. Except I'd have to use our lake cottage because the only things I remember about growing up in my home, except that television didn't get there until about the time my sister was born. Looking back, I remember things in black and white. And I think it's because television didn't have color for a while. So everything before maybe the 50s, 1950s, was, in my memory, imagination, black and white.
Yeah, we got our first television in 1954. And we were number 6 in the whole country to have one.
Really?
Yes. Well, that was what Norway was all about. Was a little laid back. Like you lived out in the boonies and, a lot of people even had outhouses. That was not uncommon.
Right.
So, looking back on all of that, it's like, wow, I really went through it. But I think also that's why I appreciate an awful lot of things today because I had less, but never poor.
Right, yeah.
But it was just a way of living. And I do appreciate everything I have today.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I think we were poor when I was growing up. But, we didn't know it.
Right.
I look back on, where we lived and how hard our parents worked and the fact that Dad would carry something like gasoline in a little bucket back. And the fact that he was walking anyway must mean maybe they didn't even have a car. So, no, it wasn't gasoline. It was fuel for his heater in the office.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Well, my father never drove. He never had a car. But he was pretty good on a bike.
Was he?
Do you remember? course, my brothers, they were early on, and I remember one handed me over his Vespa scooter, and I was 15, and I wasn't quite old enough to drive it, but by golly, I did anyway. And I had the most fun with that thing.
That's funny because my sister wants to get a Vespa.
I don't blame her. It was wonderful.
Oh, so what do you have on your schedule painting coming up?
I don't have anything specific, but we're still getting into replenishing what we sold before we left Florida for the season. So he is very busy now building more birdhouses.
Okay.
So it's like a conveyor belt right now in my garage.
Yeah.
He makes them, he does the prime coating of paint, and then it goes over to me and being transferred to something else. Neighbors have put in orders. That's why we're kind of busy with that.
Yeah.
And we are having an auction and going on at the Scandinavian Club, which meets at the Venice Library. And, we sold quite a few houses there last year. The bidding went pretty high.
Did it really?
Yes, it did.
Well, they're so charming.
It was fun. So we'll do the same thing again this year. So that's going to be in a couple of weeks. So we have to be kind of in a rush.
Well, you know what? Why don't you give us the date? Give us a little bit of information
this
on it.
is basically for the Scandinavian people.
It's not open to the
members
public?
of the club. No, I think you have to be invited and come as a guest,
Okay.
which I can do. I can invite you.
That would be really nice.
She is very much into doing that Norwegian folk art painting called rosemalling. And
Now, tell us about that. What is rosemalling?
rosemalling, it's all in the stroke and shading. And it's fantasy, actually.
Ah.
The only thing, I like doing it, but I don't care for the colors that they use. They have different ones for each state in Norway. They've got different colors. And it used to be with ochre and rusty colors, the colors that they made themselves.
Yes.
That's why I'm not too fond of them. I'm more pastel or bright, not those rusty colors. But other than that, I mean, the designs are just fantastic, wonderful.
Gosh, I almost wish this were television so that we can, show some of these things.
Right.
I can imagine
Yes.
it though myself, but
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of our listeners,
Yeah.
would prefer to see it.
Right.
Yeah.
I have done a few of those, and I still like to do them, but I do my own blues, light blue, dark blue, and what have you. I try to get my own colors in there.
So what other Norwegian art might our listeners be interested in?
I am not quite sure, but the arts, if you call knitting an art, that's definitely in.
I would say
and
that.
embroidery, that's in. And making the
Woodworking.
the costumes, the real fancy costumes that we have over there. It has all embroidered, all on the skirts and the vest and the hats and everything that goes with it. And it's just gorgeous, unbelievable.
Oh, it sounds wonderful. It makes me miss Norway, and I've never even been there.
That's pretty good.
I love Scotland so much, I'm sure I would love Norway.
Yes, I'm sure you would. I think it's quite
Especially
similar
if I
in
had a
many
Vespa
ways.
to get around on.
Yes, right, that you need.
So is a Vespa better than a car?
Well, that depends on where you live. If you live on little mountain roads or little country roads or whatever, a Vespa is just wonderful. Although it's a little tough in the winter and in the rain, it's not that good. But just getting around, it's wonderful.
Well, I know in Scotland the roads will dwindle to, they say, one lane, but their cars must be terribly small, or were at one time, because they're very narrow roads, and some of them are dirt roads.
Right, right.
And go around on cliffs and
Yes.
with rocks on the inside.
Yes, that sounds just like my home country.
If I walk into your house, I see, I love it, everything is painted. The valances, the fan blades on the fan.
How about the tree up my wall?
Oh, yes. Oh, that's beautiful. Now, that's a mural.
I guess you could call it that.
Yeah, that's a mural.
Right, right. Well, the saddest thing was, a couple of weeks ago, I had to get new appliances, like a washer and dryer.
Oh.
Well, I wasn't really quite ready to get rid of the dryer because it was still working. But I figured, why not get the two of them? Well, the guy that came and picked them up, he just couldn't stop talking because I had painted roses all over my dryer front. And he said he had never in his life seen anything like it, and it couldn't go to the dump the way it looked.
No, no. So what did he say?
I have no idea what he did with it, but...
Oh, that's funny. No, that's true. I mean, it's so beautiful, especially if it still worked.
It's also a wonderful way of covering up little discrepancies.
Oh, yes, I guess that's true.
That the refrigerator in my garage has now gotten a few spots on them, like little rust spots. Well, I can see a cluster of grapes hanging down on the door. So that might be my next project.
You know, that is another step in art. In one of the classes I took when I went back to college. And basically that's what it was. It can be anything. You drop something on the floor and how it spreads. And the whole idea of this class was, look at that. And what picture do you see in that?
Okay, that sounds very interesting. I had something similar happen out on my pool deck. It developed cracks all around. And they were kind of raggedy, not straight. So I figured, well, I might as well do something with that. So I made them into vines with leaves. So I had green leaf vines crawling all over my pool deck.
Oh, see.
It lasted for years, but now it's gone.
Time
it
to
was repainted.
Time to do a new one.
Maybe.
Michael, I'll call you Michelangelo.
Right.
Oh, you just make everything so much fun.
Yeah, I'm having fun. Maybe that's what's coming out.
Yeah,
Just enjoy it.
The only thing that I haven't seen you paint yet is one of the cars.
On the what?
One of the cars.
Well, my husband is very nervous about that. He moves the car from the garage. Every morning he says, I better hurry up before she gets out there. However, we have a very small car on Cape Cod, and it has the spare tire in the back, and it has a plastic cover over it, a black one. Well, I've been threatening now for several years. That's going to have blue hydrangeas, which is the flower for Cape Cod. That's going to be next season. Going to be blue hydrangeas on the spare tire.
I don't know. It's just amazing to me, the ideas that artists get.
Well, that's something that I have no clue where it comes from. So many people have wonderful ideas, but maybe they don't do anything about it. Maybe they try to find somebody else to do it for them. That has happened a lot.
Yes, that's true. A friend of mine, we were discussing, what's fine art. And I said to her, even though I graduated and I have the degree in art, I don't really think of myself as a real artist. I will admit to being an illustrator. And she said I should not have that attitude. She said, what makes an artist is if they finish their work. Because everybody I know, they piddle with it. That's not the word. They have their hand in it, but, especially now that I have the show, people will say, oh, yes, you should talk to so-and-so because they're an artist. Well, they're not really an artist. They can draw and they may have wonderful talent, but if they don't do anything with it, then they can't very well use the title. And the one thing I am capable of doing is finishing.
I usually finish also.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like to leave anything unfinished and thinking, oh, I'll get back to it later or something because I'm not happy with it. No, that doesn't happen. Either it's finished or it's in the trash. Whatever comes first.
I know that your picture, your bio, your interview will be on our website. Do you have any contact information that you would put on our shows so that people could get a hold of you if they wanted to? Or shall we just let them come through us?
Yeah, let them go through you.
Okay.
Yeah.
You realize that makes you even more My feeling is it would, for me, oh yeah, I definitely want to talk to her because she's so elusive, you know, that just creates such a mystique. And I like that.
Wow, I'm learning new things about myself.
Okay, we have been talking to artist Vigdis Hjertvik Kemmit. For information about Vigdis, you will go to our website, artistkaleidoscope.weebly.com. Thank you, Vigdis.
Thank you.